Prime Minister and the government, and RISE program to benefit over 100 families on Nevis. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago Minister of National Security bans illegal drug use and prostitution at parties. Internationally, ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen jailed for 3 years. And in sports, West Indies cricket in danger and needs saving, says Jamaica's sports minister. We'll have the details for these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail.
At about 9:30 this morning, when I arrived at my office across the hall, I was presented with a motion of no confidence that was filed, I am advised, late yesterday afternoon with the clerk of the National Assembly. The motion of no confidence was under the signature of the Leader of the Opposition and member for St. Christopher 6, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas.
Speaker of the National Assembly in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable A. Michael Perkins. Speaking in the National Assembly shortly after the presentation of the 2019 budget, Speaker Perkins informed the House of the next steps to be taken in dealing with the motion.
I would begin an analysis of the motion as submitted to determine whether or not it has been properly brought before this National Assembly, or alternatively, I would have the authority to amend the motion as I see fit and set it down for a subsequent sitting.
Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honourable A. Michael Perkins. Meantime, Leader of the Opposition, Dr. the Honourable Denzil Douglas, speaking on local radio, explained why his party had taken the decision to file the motion.
We in the parliamentary opposition are very dismayed and concerned about the levels of corruption, conflicts of interest, victimization, and nepotism that have become the hallmarks of the present administration led by Dr. Timothy Harris. There is a complete lack of transparency, accountability, and the rule of law in our justice, financial, and public administration systems.
Leader of the Opposition, Dr. the Honourable Denzil Douglas. The motion of no confidence is filed against the Prime Minister and the government. A new initiative will benefit more than 100 families here on Nevis. This, as the Restore, Inspire, Secure, Empower, RISE program was launched earlier this year by the Social Services Department. Here is Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, outlining the program.
The program is guided by valuable elements including education, health and wellness, family dynamics, disaster preparedness and income generation. It seeks to promote an empowerment approach to poverty reduction. Under this program, our people are given assistance for a period of 2 years, but taught self-sufficiency through budget training, enrollment in vocational and safety classes, taking a preventative approach to the preservation of their family's health, and are actively assisted in finding jobs to minimize the length of time they receive assistance. In 2019, the Department will partner with stakeholders to further strengthen and institutionalize the RISE program.
Premier Brantley also alluded to a DADS initiative.
In the new year, the RISE program will launch its DADS initiative, DADS, aimed towards increasing male participation in the program, increasing positive interaction with children and fathers in homes where fathers are not present, and increasing non-custodial maintenance payments to single mothers of RISE families.
Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley. Following the release of a song entitled Who for King, composed by The Unexpected, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP has expressed its views on the recent ban of the aforementioned. It is a VOA Newsline's understanding that the Carnival Committee in St. Kitts recently issued new stipulations about songs with lewd and distasteful lyrics. As a consequence, a ban on that song was placed, and in recent weeks there has been talk about censorship. Censorship is the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, songs, etc. that are considered abhorrent. Member of Parliament the Honourable Conris Maynard said that the lyrics of the song are not unpleasant.
If you were to read his lyrics on a piece of paper for a judge in the US, they would ask a question as to why are you concerned about the content of this song. So if this policy is geared towards silencing unexpected, then this is disastrous and distasteful. What I can say for sure, though, is that as a Calypsonian, a former king, and as someone who is associated with the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, I know for certain that neither Timothy Harris nor Sean Richards wants me for king. But I think that Unexpected song does not fall into that category, and I hope that it was not the intent of the Carnival Committee to silence the unexpected.
The Honourable Conris Maynard. MS Symphony of the Seas, the largest cruise ship in the world, owned and operated by Royal Caribbean International, landed in St. Kitts on Tuesday, 11th December at Port Sante. The passengers and crew were welcomed by Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, who expressed thanks and appreciation to the cruise line company. MS Symphony of the Seas is able to accommodate 5,518 passengers at double occupancy up to a maximum capacity of 6,680 passengers, as well as 2,200 crew. December 11, 2018 marked a historic occasion, as it was the first time in history that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis had two inaugural visits, the Norwegian Jade and the MS Symphony of the Seas. Following its first port of call to St. Kitts, Symphony of the Seas will continue with its itinerary that includes St. Thomas, USVI and Nassau, Bahamas, before returning to its port of embarkation, Miami. The fish, wildlife and environmental conservation work in the Narrows Marine Managed Area on St. Kitts and Nevis has received some much needed assistance. The Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine, RUSVM, which is undertaking the project, has secured a US $55,000 grant from the US Fish and Wildlife Services. Beginning next year, the university will work with local collaborators from the Caribbean Youth Environment Network and the SKN Department of Environment, along with international partners from the Canadian Wildlife Health Cooperative and the Smithsonian Institute Global Health Program to promote conservation behavior throughout the Federation. Through several workshops and training sessions, this educational project will equip local young conservation advocates with skills to protect marine species, namely the coral reefs, lobster, conch, diverse fish species, sea turtles, resident and migratory birds and marine mammals and their habitats, the seagrass beds, rookeries and shorelines. After the training workshops that will be launched in a phased approach, participants will work together to create a conservation plan for the Narrows with initial efforts on reducing plastic pollution across the islands. The conservation plan is expected to leverage current conservation efforts and will include outreach programs that will explore and share best practices and the latest conservation research findings with communities and advocacy organizations across the Federation and the Caribbean. Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis, DBSKN, is listed as one of the main sponsors of the 39th edition of the 2018 Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen Pageant, which will be held on Sunday, December 30th. Chairman of the Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen Pageant Committee, Mr. Lawson Archibald, said 10 countries have confirmed participation in the pageant, which will be held at the St. Kitts Marriott Grand Ballroom. Antigua, Dominica, Cuba, Trinidad, Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, USVI, Barbados, and host St. Kitts have been confirmed as participants in the event. The show will start promptly at 8 p.m. and will end at 11:30 p.m. And lastly, in our national news segment, 11 participants celebrated their achievements with a graduation ceremony on Thursday, December 6th. This comes after a six-week-long Living Healthy workshop for the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, CDSMP, and it was also hosted by the Newtown Health Center for community members. The 11 graduates were Amorel Samuel, Beverly Prentice, Clive Archibald, Elvis Morton, Hyacinth KB, Giovanna Casey, Kishma Duncan, Lynette Foster, Natasha Mawson, Sonia Liddy, and Vida Maynard. The ceremony was sponsored by the 2017 CDSMP graduate, Mr. Anthony Evelyn, who found the program to be beneficial and wanted to give back to the community. The aim of the workshop was to enable persons to be more diligent about their lifestyles, especially those that have been diagnosed with chronic diseases. And that's our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio and our Von Radio YouTube channel. Regional news comes up next.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It really is. Come and let the Bank of Nevis Limited improve your quality of life this Christmas. Take an unsecured loan of up to $20,000. Ho, 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 ho. That's not all. Take advantage of our flexible loan term options. It's Christmas and it's time to be merry. Contact us today at 1-869-469-5564 or Facebook, Instagram, or visit our bank today. It's the Bank of Nevis Limited, wishing you Merry Christmas!
Welcome back and now on to the regional news. Out of Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of National Security, Stuart Young, said on Tuesday that he has seen reports that there is to be an event taking place at an island off the north of Trinidad described as a sex island party involving illegal drug use and prostitution. Young said in a press release that he has asked local law enforcement and immigration to monitor this event and to make it known that such an event and that the suggested illegal actions to take place will not be tolerated by Trinidad and Tobago. The statement reads, and I quote, "The suggested illegality of drug use and prostitution is of concern to me. I have requested that positive action be taken to ascertain whether there is any veracity to the suggested event and to be extra vigilant to prevent any such event taking place." End quote. Out of Dominica, an earthquake shook parts of Dominica on Tuesday evening. Preliminary information from the UE Seismic Center automatic detection system shows that the earthquake occurred at a magnitude of 3.7. According to the UE seismic report, it was located 11 kilometers northeast of Roseau at a depth of 5 kilometers. The earthquake was recorded at 9:17 p.m. There have been no reports so far that it was felt in any other nearby islands. Out of Barbados, one of the 4 prison officers whom the head of the Prison Officers Association POA is accused of encouraging to abandon their duties has had a rare 2-year-old charge against her dropped. Chanel Ellis Vaughan, who was charged with breaching prison rules by associating with an ex-convict whom she married, was allowed to walk out of court on Monday without the charge hanging over her head. In August 2016, she made her first court appearance on the charge that she knowingly associating with former inmate Adrian Vaughan without the permission of Superintendent of Dodds Prison Lieutenant Colonel John Nurse sometime between November 13, 2009 and February 20, 2012. She had pleaded not guilty and was granted $2,500 in Barbadian currency. However, the prosecutor informed Magistrate Douglas Frederick when the matter was called again on Monday that he had been instructed not to continue the matter, and the magistrate dismissed the case for want of prosecution. Last week, the POA President Trevor Brown was charged with maliciously endeavoring to seduce Ellis Vaughn and 3 other prison officers, Stevenson Trotman, Othniel Austin, and David Davis, from their duties between May 1st and 9th of this year. And lastly, in our regional news segment, out of Guyana, before the end of the first quarter of 2019, Guyana plans to open a diplomatic mission in the United Arab Emirates UAE, and Georgetown is also exploring the opening of a mission in Addis Ababa, the diplomatic capital of Africa, especially since that country is seeking assistance in the development of its oil and gas sector, Foreign Minister and Vice President Kyle Greenidge told Parliament on Friday. Greenidge is actively framing a foreign policy that complements the emerging oil and gas industry of Guyana and is looking to collaborate with other petroleum-producing nations and multilateral organizations that have experience in the petroleum sector that Guyana can benefit from what he said. That's according to what he said to Parliament. Since 2012, Guyana has been looking to send a resident ambassador to Abu Dhabi, and now with the major oil and gas discovery by ExxonMobil, Greenidge said that Guyana can learn and benefit from oil-rich nations that are willing to fund projects in the country. The UAE had offered Guyana some financial concessions if it opens a mission in that country. Also, there were plans for Guyana to host a Gulf Investment Forum in Georgetown, but which never materialized under the previous administration. And that's our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back on our to the international news. Michael Cohen, the former lawyer to Donald Trump, who once said he'd take a bullet for the president, has been given a 36-month prison sentence. He is the first member of Mr. Trump's inner circle to be jailed over the special counsel's inquiry into alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 election. He has pleaded guilty to crimes including campaign finance violations, tax evasion, and lying to Congress. In a New York court on Wednesday earlier today, Cohen lashed out at his former boss. The 52-year-old told Judge William Pauley that Mr. Trump calls him to follow a path of darkness rather than light. Turkey will launch a new operation against U.S.-backed Kurdish militias in northern Syria in the next few days, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says. The move, which he said would focus on territory to the east of the Euphrates River, risks confrontation with the U.S. America's support for the Kurdish YPG forces has strained relations with Turkey, which considers the YPG to be part of a terrorist group.
We have said, and we are saying again, that we will start the operation to clear the east of the Euphrates from separatist terrorists in a couple of days. Our target is never US soldiers. Our target is separatist terrorists who are active in the region.
A gunman yelled "Aloha Akbar, God is greatest," as he opened fire on people enjoying an evening out of a Christmas market, the Paris public prosecutor told reporters. Remy Heats said 2 people had been killed and 1 left brain dead after the attack in the eastern French city on Tuesday. 12 were wounded, 6 seriously. Hugh Schofield reports.
At a news conference in Strasbourg, Remy Heitz has given more detail about last night's attack. He said the suspect moved around the narrow streets near the Christmas market in Strasbourg for several minutes, firing his gun. He confronted a group of soldiers on patrol and there was an exchange of fire in which he was hit. He then took a taxi to a nearby neighborhood where there was a further exchange of fire with police, but he managed to get away. The prosecutor said that the man has a long criminal record with 27 convictions and several stints in prison, during one of which he was seen to have turned to a radical form of Islam.
And lastly, in our international news segment, Japan has chosen the symbol meaning disaster to define the year 2018. Television stations broadcast the announcement live as the matter of an ancient temple in Kyoto wrote the winning term on a white panel. In the annual vote, the public nominated this kanji character after experiencing a number of natural disasters. Japan has suffered flooding, typhoons, earthquakes, and heat waves in 2018, leading the economy to shrink. It fell by 1.2% in the third quarter, thanks to the damage caused by the events. And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Shopping this VAT weekend at the TDC retail store just got even better. You get 2 days of huge, whopping, enormous savings every time you shop at the TDC Automotive Divisions, Home and Building Depots, Business Center, and CDS Nevis. You heard right. On Friday the 14th of December, pay no VAT and get 25% off all purchases in store. That's savings on savings on savings. What's that? An aftershock post-VAT day sale on Saturday the 15th of December with up to 30% off in store at all TDC retail stores? Phew! Savings overload. Get everything from A to Z on Friday the 14th and Saturday the 15th of December at all TDC retail stores. Your VAT Day sales specialists. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now on to the sports. In cricket, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports that's actually in Jamaica, Olivia Grange, has likened West Indies cricket to an element of cultural heritage that is in danger and in need of protection. She made a comment at the St. Catherine Cricket Association Awards ceremony where she expressed satisfaction that the local cricket program was at a good place, but said she was concerned about regional cricket following a string of poor performances by the West Indies team, including their recent poor performance against Bangladesh. Bangladesh completed a series sweep against the West Indies in the recent 2-test series, each time defeating the Windies within 3 days. She drew a contrast between the performance of the men's team and the women's team. West Indies women were a force to be reckoned with in the recent T20 World Cup, where they went to the semi-finals before falling to the eventual champions, Australia. The sports minister said it was now urgent for all stakeholders in West Indies cricket to come together to protect the people's game. In more cricket news, Sri Lanka spinner Akila Dhananjaya has been suspended from bowling in international cricket with immediate effect because of an illegal action. The 25-year-old, who made his test debut in February, took 10 wickets in last month's series against England. He was reported after the first match, which England won by 211 runs, but also played in the second test. An independent assessment followed in Brisbane, which ruled he exceeded the 15-degree level of tolerance permitted. Still in cricket, French authorities have arrested a senior football official on suspicion of committing war crimes in the Central African Republic, CAR. Patrice Edouard Negosino is accused of coordinating militia attacks on the CAR's Muslim population in 2013 and 2015. In a statement, the International Criminal Court ICC said he faced extradition to The Hague. Mr. Engusona, a committee member of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, denies all allegations. And this is football news. As we continue football news, the CAR, a former French colony, was plunged into turmoil in 2013 when predominantly Muslim rebels from the Seleka group seized power in the majority Christian country. A band of mostly Christian militias called the Anti-Balaka rose up to counter the Seleka after President Francois Bozize was ousted. And lastly, in our sports segment, in cycling, the future of Team Sky, which has delivered Tour de France wins for Britain's Sir Bradley Wiggins, Chris Froome and Geraint Thomas, is in doubt after broadcaster Sky announced it will withdraw backing at the end of 2019. Team Sky was launched in January 2010 and has since amassed 322 victories, including 8 Grand Tour successes. Team Sky will continue to race under a different name if a new backer is secured to provide funding from the beginning of 2020, said the Team Sky statement. Wiggins has left the Team Sky setup to establish his own team after retiring as a rider, but Froome and Thomas are still part of its roster, with reigning Tour champion Thomas signing a 3-year deal with Team Sky in September. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. Tonight's weather will continue to be fair to partly cloudy and slightly hazy with a 20% or slight chance of showers. The winds are east-southeast, becoming easterly ranging between 15 and 30 kilometers per hour or 8 and 16 knots with higher gusts over open waters. The seas are not exceeding 1.5 meters or 5 feet. The sunset today, that's actually the sunrise tomorrow, will be at 6:31 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, 12th December 2018. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, motion of no confidence filed against Prime Minister and the government, and RISE program to benefit over 100 families on Nevis. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago Minister of National Security bans illegal drug use and prostitution at parties. Internationally, ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen jailed for 3 years. And in sports, West Indies cricket in danger and needs saving, says Jamaica's sports minister. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a pleasant evening.